Welcome back to the second session of the new house. We have already done that. Bruno has shifted from Berlin and he's come to suburb where his father has been posted as one of the general in the German army. And Bruno is not happy to be here because the life here is different. He doesn't have friends. The life has lost its vibrancy. The hustle and bustle of the urban area is not there, and he doesn't see that and he even notices that there are no houses around, so he doesn't have friends. So I think this was a bad idea, said Bruno a few hours after they arrived, while Maria was unpacking his suitcases upstairs. Maria wasn't the only house help at the new house either. There were three others who only ever spoke to each other in whispering voices. There was an old man too, who he was told was there to prepare the vegetables every day and wait on them at the dinner table, and who looked not only unhappy but also a little angry. I think the best thing to do would be to forget all about this and just go back home. We can chalk it up to experience, he added, a phrase he had learned recently and was determined to use as often as possible. So Bruno says that I think this was a bad idea to his mother while Maria was unpacking his suitcases upstairs. Though Maria was not the only help in the house, there were other three also, but they spoke to each other in whispering voices. Among them, there was this old man who was told that he would be there to prepare vegetables and cook for them, and he was supposed to wait for them at the dinner table. He doesn't seem to be happy, and he even seemed irritated and angry. Bruno adds on that I think the best thing to do would be to forget about all this and just go back from where we have come. This is okay, we can chalk it up to experience. That is, we can write this as an experience. We can speak about it because he had learned that phrase, so he wanted to use it as often as possible. Generally, using a particular phrase as if you've learned a new one adds on to the vocabulary and helps you to understand how well you can use it in the different form and in different ways in a sentence. So the mother smiled and she said, I have just another phrase for you. And she said, it's that we have to make the best of a bad situation. That is, we should make the best out of a bad situation. We should try to adjust ourselves as much as possible. Well, I don't know we do, said Bruno. I think you should just tell father that you've changed your mind, and well, if we have to stay here for the rest of the day and have dinner here this evening and sleep here tonight because we are all tired, then that's all right. Now he adds on that if it has to be a day, we can stay here, we can still have dinner here, and we can even sleep here as we are tired, for we cannot go back home right now, but you need to inform father that you are not happy and you want to go back. And we should probably get up early in the morning so that we are back to Berlin by the tea time. Mother sighed. Bruno, why don't you go upstairs and help Maria unpack? Now mother looked at him and she sighed and she said, Bruno, I think you should go up and help Maria unpacking the bag. So Bruno adds on, but there's no point unpacking if we are only going to. Bruno could not complete his sentence. Bruno, just do it please, snapped mother, because apparently it was all right if she interrupted him, but it did not work the other way round. Now Bruno, just do it. He was interrupted in between his lines, and he even added on that it was okay for an elder to interrupt in between, but when a child interrupts in between, it is considered as a bad manner. We are here, we have arrived, this is our home for the foreseeable future, and we just have to make the best of things. So the mother says that we are here, we have already arrived, and this is our home for the future, and I hope you need to understand that you need to make the best of things what are available. Do you understand me? He didn't understand what the foreseeable future meant and told her so. So he says, I do not know, what do you mean by foreseeable future? It means that this is where we live now, Bruno, said Mother, and that's an end to it. Bruno could not understand how this had all come about. One day, he was perfectly content playing at home with 3 best friends for life, sliding down banisters, trying to stand on his tiptoes to see right across Berlin, and now he was stuck here in the cold, nasty house where no one looked as if they could ever be cheerful again. So Bruno could not understand the situation, and one day he felt that suddenly things have changed. One day he was playing, he was contented with his life, with his 3 best friends, playing on the handrail of the staircase, trying to stand on his tiptoe to see right across Berlin, and now he's stuck here in this cold and in unfamiliar, nasty house, and no one looked cheerful here. It seemed everything was dull and haunted. Bruno, I want you to go upstairs and unpack. I want you to do it now, said Mother in an unfriendly voice. And he knew that she meant business, so he turned round and marched away without another word. So Bruno, she commanded, and she said, I want you to go upstairs, unpack your bag, and this is what you will do right now. Her voice was strict, authoritative, and unfriendly. And he knew when she meant business, that when she meant work, he's supposed to go and do it. So he turned round and marched away without any word. On his floor, there were just 4 doors, 2 on either side facing each other, a door into his room, a door into Gretel's room, a door into Mother and Father's room, and a door into the bathroom. Now on the floor where he landed up, where he had his room, he saw there were 2 rooms which faced either side. A door into his room, one door led to his room, another one to Gretel's room, that's his sister, and one door led to his father's room, and the last one was a door to bathroom. This isn't home. It never will be, he muttered under his breath as he went through his own door, to find all his clothes scattered on the bed and the boxes of toys and books not even unpacked yet. It was obvious that Maria did not have her priorities right. So when he entered the room, he was grumbling, he was muttering under his breath that this is not where he's supposed to live. This doesn't look like a home at all. And then he found his clothes scattered on the bed and boxes, and the boxes of toys and books were not packed yet. Now this annoyed Bruno, because his priority was his toys and his other things than clothes. And he realized that Maria did not have her priorities right. Mother sent me to help, he said quietly. Maria nodded and pointed towards a big bag that contained all his socks and vests and underpants. Now Maria gave him one big bag which had all his undergarments and the smaller utilities which he could handle. If you sort that lot out, you could put them in the chest of the drawers over there, she said, pointing towards an ugly chest that stood across the room beside a mirror that was covered in dust. So she said that if you can sort this out, if you can place things in the order, that's the chest, that's the drawer, which is there in that near that mirror. It was covered with dust. You can put these things there. What do you think of all this, Maria? He asked after a long silence, because he had always liked Maria and felt as if she was one of the family. Now, while he was thinking about everything, he asks questions to Maria, and he says, what is your opinion about this? Do you like to come here and stay here? All what? She asked. This, he said, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. Coming to a place like this, don't you think we have made a big mistake? So he finally pours his heart out and he says, this is the place, obviously, this place what I'm talking about. Coming here, because for Bruno that was the biggest priority of life. And don't you think we have made a big mistake? By coming here, don't you think that we have made a big mistake? That's not for me to say, said Maria. Your mother has explained to you about your father's job, and Maria couldn't complete her sentence. So she said, I cannot comment on this. Your mother has already informed you what your father's job is like. And before she could complete, oh, I'm tired of hearing about father's job, said Bruno, interrupting her. That's all we ever hear about it, if you ask me. Father's job this, father's job that. Well, if father's job mean that we have to move away from our home, from our house, and the sliding banister and my 3 best friends for life, then I think father should think twice about his job, don't you? So the child's priority is his happiness, and he says, I am tired of hearing about father's job. That's all we ever hear. If you ask me, father's job is this, father's job is that. Well, if father's job means that I need to stay away from my house, from sliding banisters and my 3 best friends, then I think father needs to consider about his job twice, and he needs to get it straight that we need to move back. Just at that moment, there was a creak outside in the hallway, and Bruno looked up to see the door of mother and father's room opening slightly. He froze, unable to move for a moment. Mother was still downstairs, which meant that father was in there, and he might have heard everything that Bruno had just said. He watched the door, hardly daring to breathe, wondering whether father might come through it and take him downstairs for a serious talking to. Now, just when he was cribbing about it, he was getting irritated about it, he just saw that his father's and mother's room opened slightly with a slight sound. And he froze because he knew that his mother was downstairs and it was his father who was there in for a moment. And that would mean that his father would have heard him. He was scared. He wondered if his father would come in and take him downstairs for a serious talking to. That is, he would take him for a serious discussion on why they have been here and what is the purpose of being here. The door opened wider and Bruno stepped back as a figure appeared, but it wasn't father. It was much younger man and not as tall as father either, but he wore the same type of uniform, only without as many decorations on it. He was carrying a box in his hands and walking towards the staircase. He gave Bruno a quick nod and continued on his way. As the door opened wider, Bruno stepped back because he saw a figure appeared, which was not his father. This person was younger than his father, and not as tall as his father either. He wore the same kind of uniform, but he did not have so many medals and decorations on those uniforms. He was carrying a box in his hand and walking towards the staircase. While walking down, he gave Bruno a quick nod and continued on his way. Who was that? Asked Bruno. The young man had seemed so serious and busy that he assumed he must be someone very important. Now Bruno questions him, who was that person? The young man seemed to be very serious and busy, and it looked like as if he's somebody very important. So Maria said, one of your father's soldiers, I suppose. We'll get to know them in time. We'll get to know about them in time, so probably he was the one there. I don't think I like him, said Bruno. He was too serious. I don't even think they are going to be anyone to play with other than Gretel. And what fun is that, after all? She's a hopeless case. So he says that I don't think so I like him. He seemed to be too serious. And I don't think that I have anybody to play here. I'll only be playing with Gretel, and she's not at all a fun to play with. And she's a hopeless case. He felt as if he was about to cry again, but stopped himself. He looked around the room without fully lifting his eyes up from the ground, trying to see whether there was anything of interest to be found. There wasn't, or there didn't seem to be. But then one thing caught his eyes. Over in the corner of the room opposite the door, there was a window in the ceiling that stretched down into the wall. Now he looked around, he wanted to cry, but he stopped himself from doing so because he knew he would get scolding. He looked around the room trying to figure out if there was anything interesting in there to find, and suddenly he saw something which caught his eyes. That was a window in the ceiling which stretched into the wall, which made it see through the wall. He walked slowly towards it, hoping that here he might be able to see all the way back to Berlin and his house and the streets around and the tables where the people sat and told each other hilarious stories. So he walked towards it, hoping that from here he would be able to see his Berlin house, he would be able to see the houses on the street, and then check how people were seated there talking to each other and discussing their hilarious stories. Thank you. With this, we come to the end of the first lesson. Thank you.